question for you. What's it like to be a part of the generation with the SHU closing? Because you were there. You were there with whatever legends you were there with, or were not there, whatever.
Yeah.
But you were there when the SHU closed. What was that like of that exodus taking place?
It was the craziest thing because, you know, when, and that's such a great story that I don't know, it hasn't really been told that much, like the hunger strike.
Shoot it.
But when the 3-judge panel in the Northern District ruled and said like the SHUs are sanctioned torture, they shut it down. All the guys from Pelican Bay, you know, the people, I mean, guys that have been 30 years, 32 years, 20 years, decades, were immediately moved down to Corcoran. So it's like, okay, wow, this is really happening. They started doing these committees every Friday where you would go to committee and they would just release 10, 15, you know, just back to the main lines, to whatever yards, whatever prisons. And I would see a lot of those guys that had been up there for all those 30 years pushing their property out like to the yard.
I wonder how they felt. Huh?
And I'm thinking, damn, if they're letting them go out to the yard, I'm sure as hell going out to the yard, you know?
How long did it take for you to go?
Once the law, after the hunger strike ended, about a month and a half maybe, they walked to my door and they go, "You're a 270. Where do you want to go?" And I hadn't even thought about like a prison main line in like 10 years. And I was just like, she goes, "If you go to Corcoran right here, if you just go to this main line right here, you can get kicked out today." I was like, "I'll go today."
How did you feel?
Like I was getting released. Like I called my mom, like my grandpa came to visit that weekend. I hadn't touched my family in like 15 years at that point.
What'd you have in visiting to eat?
My grandfather came, I'll never forget, because these were like the last of the 3 visits. He was slipping into dementia. So when he came, I remember, I guess he was telling everybody, my grandpa raised me, he's like my dad, like, you know, my boy, he's coming out. It's been years since. And I remember when I came out, I just gave him a hug and he was just like, "Oh my God," like, because it had been so long, man, so long. But you would see these other guys like 30 years, like meeting their family members. Shout out to my boy Bobby from Matavia, came up to me. He was in the SHU for 32 years, came up with a CD player. I told you the other day, and batteries.
Yeah.
I was, how do I put this shit together? Help me. Never seen a CD on TV and stuff like that, but he's been in a box for 32 years. Had no idea what a CD, last time he left were 8 tracks.
His grandpa was.
I mean, you guys were talking about phones earlier. When I left, I had my Bravo Express pager. You know what song was hitting when I went to prison? The First of the Month by Bone Thugs and Harmony. It just came out. Coolio's Paradise, Gangster's Paradise was #1.
Wow.
Bone Thugs had just dropped their first album. I remember that. Above the Law, Black Superman, MC8, We Comes.
The only
Top of
like
the Most
only
Wanted.
rappers
Those were the albums we
Shade
had.
of Brown.
We had all those tapes. We had tapes in the cars.
Frost, Brownside.
Little Rob, Brownside. Yeah, Brownside. The homie from Brownside was there. Weasel. It was
Beaver?
No, Weasel. It was one of the
Oh,
brothers.
okay.
He was a lifer. Yeah, he was a lifer. He's my age.
Is it safe to say that secretly, super secretly, Brian's the most high-powered guest we've ever had?
Yeah. I love it.
I mean, I never made it to the. I mean, I was telling him on the documentary, I've never made it to the SHU. I've done SHU terms in AdSeg because you're on a wait. A lot of people don't know this. There's a lot of dudes that will do SHU terms in AdSeg because there used to be, because of them, a waiting list to get to the SHU. You could wait 3 years in AdSeg to get transferred up to the actual SHU.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a serious murderer or you've attacked cops,
Yeah.
they'll make room for you. But like a lot of us, I had assaults on staff. I had assaults on just regular yard assaults. I'm in the AdSeg for 2 years, maybe.
And to be clear, like I wasn't even like I never claimed to be. I was just a good soldier and, you know, try to be the best homie, the best I could be. Like I wasn't, you know, and I stuck it out and I rode it out to the end. But
What did you eat? Because did you guys eat the same thing or did you guys eat different?
as far as
Like you go to mainline and then you being
way different. Like we didn't get in the SHU, you don't get fried eggs. That's like the thing you miss the most. You don't get the fried eggs. Isn't that the one where you pop it and all this stuff?
Yeah, yolk.
You don't get that. Like everything is put in a bag. The Folgers jar, they have to pour in a bag because you're too dangerous for a Folgers jar. The chips get poured. Nothing is in its thing. So
limited canteen, limited.
Your toothpaste, you get a syrup pack. You got to empty out your syrup because you can't keep the toothpaste container. You have to squirt it in there and you tie up your syrup pack and then you every morning. Yeah. Your deodorant, you can't have your deodorant. You have to, there's like for the bread bags, it's like a specific, like a plastic. You put your deodorant in there and you use your milk carton and you just make your own deodorant stick because you can't have plastic. You can't have bags. You can't have anything like that in the SHU.
Because you could like hurt yourself.
You can hurt yourself, somebody else.
No, because these guys are very smart.
Extremely smart.
Make things out of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, I hadn't thought about that in a long time. And it was crazy because the CO, they used to always, like, every time I'd just be messing with him, talking shit. He's dumping my stuff out, and I'm like, oh yeah, don't give me that chip bag. It's super dangerous. Like, when I get kicked out of the SHU, I'm with him. Like, I see the CO, like, 2 months later, I'm on the yard, like, on yard crew with, like, an axe or something. I'm like, you wouldn't give me a chip bag, like, 2 weeks ago.
Now I got an axe.
Now I got an axe, fool. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
but he's laughing. I mean, he you know.
It's different. He had to do what he had
It
to do.
was what it was. Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
Wow.